Parallels between Pedagogy of the Oppressed by Paulo Freire and No More Heroes by Jordan Flaherty. When we are young, we are exposed to the narrative of the savior or the hero, making its appearances in childhood toys, books, TV shows, movies, and video games. Saviorism is glamorized. It is pushed down our throats as if being a savior or being a hero is something we should all aspire to become. But why? What are we teaching our younger generations? What ideas are we setting forth for the future? Why is it that the savior is typically a privileged, heterosexual, cisgendered white male? We teach young girls with big hopes and dreams that they need a prince, that they need a man to step in order for their dreams to come true. This idea of the damsel in distress is far too familiar, but it doesn't stop there. White saviorism specifically is a theme we see time and time again, teaching young people of color that they need a white person to open doors for them. Unfortunately, these ideas do not exist merely in the media, but in every facet of the world. In our education system, we learn about these so-called heroes in history books. Take Christopher Columbus, for example. He is credited for discovering America, even though the Native Americans had already been living here. European settlers started battles on the land that they stole, committing acts of brutality, enslavement, sexual violence, and mass murder against the native people in the process. These acts of oppression are referred to in Pedagogy of the Oppressed as dehumanization, and the act of dehumanizing goes both ways, for dehumanizing someone else in turn dehumanizes you as well. But this is all overlooked, and Columbus is rewarded with his own federal holiday. Abe Lincoln is another example of a white man who has been named a hero or a savior. He is credited as the man who freed the slaves, even though the slaves were, in fact, the driving force behind their own liberation, sparking the Civil War. Pedagogy of the Oppressed recognizes this as praxis or critical consciousness, which involves reflection and recognition of the social and political atmosphere in order to take action and fight for liberation. Prior to the Civil War, white landowners used prescription as a means to control their slaves. As described in Pedagogy of the Oppressed, prescription is the process by which the oppressor strips the oppressed of their freedoms and their right to be heard, while forcing them to accept guidelines, opinions, and the worldviews set forth by the oppressor. Over time, this perpetuates violence, and potentially horizontal violence as well, which accounts for acts of violence one takes against their own oppressed group. Today, in the U.S. in particular, saviorism takes form through charities and mission trips that are typically run by privileged white individuals who seek to help people of color in third world countries. These saviors are individuals who are motivated to help others, but are unwilling to take input from those they seek to help. These saviors often lack cultural competence and feel they have to travel to other nations in order to make a difference because that's where they feel the real problems are. With this, they fail to recognize that many of these same problems exist to some degree in America too. They neglect to acknowledge that they benefit from a system of oppression and care more about how doing good makes them feel about themselves than how it makes others feel. Pedagogy of the Oppressed recognizes this as false generosity and paternalism. This is when those with privilege provide aid to those in less fortunate situations without challenging the structures that put them there. Philanthropists and volunteers may have good intentions when traveling to underprivileged nations to help people, but these American charities overpower the voices of the local people. They do not understand the whole picture, nor do they know the community, the people, or what is best for them.